Just like they had in every season since 1933, the Pittsburgh Steelers started off 1958 with a whimper. The Steelers were 1-3 after 4 games and looked certain to miss the playoffs yet again. Of course, back in those days, the football fans in Pittsburgh really cared about college football, not the pro game. The Giants were favorites to win this game, even though Frank Gifford was injured and was set to be replaced by rookie Don Minard. Minard had been a star running back at Texas Western, known these days as UTEP. Anyway, freezing rain kept the crowd to a minimum, but the Giants won easily against the Steelers 17-6. And this time it was Pittsburgh's inability to hold on to the football that gave the Giants the easy victory. Though it was also helpful for New York to have sure-handed receivers like Alex Webster on hand. Alright guys, time to get back into this and we'll see if we can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers here today. We'll just jump straight on into the game and there's the audio for you. So we'll go ahead and start this baby off and see if we can get another victory here for these Giants. We're doing a little bit better than they were doing in real life. We can go ahead and take a look here since these standings are all screwed up. We're at 3-1. So all we need here is another win. That would be at 4-1. That would be a little bit better. Coming into this game, the Giants in real life were actually 2-2. I'll get rid of that menu there at the very top. There you go. And that looks a little bit better. So let's see what we can do here. They end up winning the ball. These uniforms, by the way, look very nice. They're very nicely done and are historically accurate from what I can tell. Of course, I don't have a whole ton of color photos from the 1953 NFL season, or 1958, I mean. So I think it's probably about as good as we have any right to expect. But that right there was not so good. We didn't want to do an onside kick. I was trying to go for the full thing, and that just didn't quite work. Oh, I got lucky with that catch. We were about 2 seconds away from getting him for a sack, so we give up a touchdown here on the very, very first play of the game. And looks like we've elected to play this on hard mode. Bobby Lane, by the way, very, very interesting, was originally a Pittsburgh draft pick and ended up being dealt away before he played a single game for the Steelers. And then in 1958 winds up coming back for the team. I mean, he'd been drafted by them about 10 years prior. So one of those types of players. This was a franchise that was not particularly well run back in the old days of the NFL. And here I am now realizing I was going to spend some time with this game before this game looking at our playbook, and I ended up not doing any of that. So we're going to have to sort of stomach this playbook one more time. Look at that, man. They are all over us. So we'll see if we can come up with some kind of play here, hopefully to stem the tide. That ends up not working, and so it looks like we're going to end up having to punt. It's been a little while since we've punted. But in this particular situation, I think it's probably a better idea to punt than to hope that we can get another first down. We had first and a long way to go. And you can see here that the punts here were kind of not really nerfed all that much. So we got a punt there of about, I don't know, like 70 yards or something like that. And it wasn't even up all the way. And how do you like that? So we end up with the interception, and we can take this one back quite a ways. And so that ends up working out pretty well for us in the end. So interception for the Giants, and let's see if we can get ourselves ahead. And we can. Look at that. They were all over Frank Gifford there on first down. See if we can get through that hole, and we can. Not only can we not get through the hole, but we end up fumbling ourselves. And now we have the ball going the other way, and so it's back to defense for us. This has been a pretty entertaining first quarter with a lot of mistakes going on both sides. And fortunately, we were able to stop them there. So just so you know, I have been calling a whole bunch of passing defenses, and it's actually ended up working for me even when they run. And see, in a case like that where I didn't really do anything to rush the quarterback, we end up getting the sack anyway. So we have a good defense here, and it really does help. Either that or Pittsburgh just doesn't have a particularly good team overall, and see we get another sack there. I'm not even looking to see what's happening. So it's 4th and 22, and this will help us get the ball back, and probably going to be a touchback, actually. Unless we can miraculously block this, and we came within a couple inches of blocking that. Now it's going to be a touchback. Alright, so here we go again. Tell you, Triplett is one of those guys who's kind of forgotten. I mean, he didn't do very much with that run right there, but when you read through the old newspaper accounts, you can see that he was actually a quite effective running back here for the Giants in 58. It's just that he was a little bit overshadowed by the likes of Frank Gifford. But speaking of being overshadowed, this offense is starting to be overshadowed here. Things are not looking all that great for us, so let's make sure we at least get this first down, and we get it. And let's see if we can figure out what to do here to get this turned around. We haven't been doing very well in any of these passing plays. Their defense has been able to get free. They've got one guy there rushing who keeps getting really, really close to the quarterback, and it's kind of dangerous for us. This is one of sort of the tricks of Tecmo Super Bowl, because the action's happening so quickly that I can't really pay that much attention to exactly what's happening on the line. It's not like I'm going to make a whole bunch of changes to the line anyway to try to solve it, but we've got somebody over here on the defense who keeps getting through. Oh, come on, you got to make that catch. Anyway, so we'll see if we can go here with Triplet, do a little run here at the very top. At least we gain positive yards in that play. Now let's see if we can punch this through the middle. Yeah, see, that works a little bit better. Gifford able to get through right before the hit comes. Now, this is the play right here that we hadn't had much luck with beforehand. And see, that guy right there, is that an end or a safety? I'm not sure who it is, who's rushing, who keeps getting through everybody. So I think that's probably the end of that play for us. And we rush for that. So I don't know how common it actually was to see somebody rush like that for yardage in 1958. Probably was not all that common pre-Fran Tarkenton. I don't want to punt. There we go. So we make it anyway. And let's try one of these plays again. I do think that we do need to go into this playbook and start changing things and get rid of some of these plays that are sort of have a lot of movement in the backfield. I think that's where we're having the biggest problems. But we end up scoring the touchdown anyway. And who is it? It's Alex Webster with making the catch. So our big receiver ends up making the big catch. And this hopefully will tie it at 7, assuming I make the extra point, and I do make it. And then this time we get the kickoff right. How about that? So it's almost like nothing ever happened. 7-7 now the score. Boy, again, as I said before, I think I said last time, I sure hope that things are not too cold for you wherever it is that you are. It remains cold here. There's a whole bunch of snow on the ground, although I think it's doing a little bit better here today now that the sun has been out for a little while. And it's timeout time for the Steelers. So I actually ended up not going to the gym this morning because of all the snow that was on the ground. I thought it was probably not the best idea in the world to go driving around early in the morning. But right now it's looking a little bit better. I can actually see the asphalt out there in the road right in front of our house, which is a change from how things were yesterday for certain. All right, and that'll force a punt. So that's pretty good. We'll see if we can drive the field again. Of course, we have a long field awaiting us here, assuming that he gets this punt away. We came very close to blocking that one as well. I don't remember last time I had a block punt in this game, so we'll see if we get one or not. Oh man, and we end up throwing it right to the wrong guy, right for an interception right away. So we've had some bad luck. That was an interception. We've also had a fumble, and so we've had a couple of things that kind of are driving us nuts. And Robustelli keeps getting through. So Robustelli gets through again for the sack, and this is actually a pretty good game. We'll see if we can start taking control of this once we get to the second quarter, or the second half rather. And they weren't even close to first down, so halftime. Ah, yes, good old Tecmo Super Bowl halftime, though we're not seeing as many of the lovely ladies this time around as we did with Tecmo Grey Cup. I think it's because the Canadians really know how to throw a party. All right, well, let's see what we can do here. We're going to go for Frank Gifford. I've been trying to be a little bit gingerly with him in hopes of... and we end up, I'm sorry, I called, I think, a passing play instead. I must have pushed B instead of A. That is not the play I was intending to call. And they just stood there and watched as Heinrich ran right past him. So, all right, 3rd and 3 now. It's another one of these plays where Webster is just wide open. And, oh, he cannot make the catch, and that's a real frustrating one. All right, let's see if we can make this work. Yep, that time it works, and we get the touchdown. 1 play, 1 touchdown. So there you go. I'm not quite sure what the difference was between those passes. It's just that Heinrich was able to get it straightened out that second time, but for some reason, Pittsburgh's defense didn't think of covering the guy. So here we go with another touchdown. And Summerall gets the kickoff away this time. And we do a good job this time getting them for a not much of a kickoff return. And to Younger, I don't know much about the Steelers running backs. I wasn't able to find much about them. All of the things I read were about the quarterback here. Of course, I'm not sure that it really matters one way or another if we're able to recover fumbles like that. And this will be triplet here. If there was a dive button, we would have had that all the way. It's all right. 1st and 1 from the 1. There you go. One of my favorite things about this game is how the defensive players sort of hang their head down like that once you score a touchdown. So 27 out, about to be 21, and I mean there's just no rush at all on that extra point. So. And this time Summerall gets the full boost. So we have a 21-7 lead with a deep kickoff. Let's see how far back we can pin him. It's been kind of an ugly game. Lots of turnovers and not a whole lot of great offense except for our 2 passes there to Alex Webster that seemed a little bit too easy. It's been a while since the Steelers have even had a first down, so we decided to give that one to them. It was actually pretty good blocking. And there they go, running the same play again. I think the computers figured out that the real key to success here is the run. Unless we blow up the play like that there, so... One of the things I will say, though, is that it's pretty predictable the sort of play calls are going to run. Oh, that time I went the wrong way. So, they get a second first down here on this drive. We almost had them for a loss there in the backfield, and they end up turning this into a big game. Alright, well we want to hold them here as much as we can. If they only get a field goal, it's going to be kind of a victory for us. Of course, if we end up sacking them like this, that's even better. Robustelli, once again, just completely destroys his man off the line. It brings up 2nd and 19, and that puts them in a real lurch because now they kind of have to pass, and they're passing into that blitz. And see, they end up completing the pass over the blitz, but it doesn't really do very much. I was saying in the video about sort of my post-mortem of the Ottawa save that one of the things you want to do when you're against, and there's the touchdown they needed, one of the things you want to do against those defenses when a good defense guesses right is you want to try to throw over the top of them. Sometimes it works, but it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good if all you're going to get is a couple of yards out of it. You need to be able to get something significant. So 21-14, good pass by Bobby Lane, and now we really have to start worrying about what's going to happen here and about the clock and all this other stuff. Well, we did the best that we could there. Let's see if we can have Frank Gifford gallop here for a couple of yards. Alright. It's this running play right here that we may want to consider getting rid of. You see that defensive end come scampering forward out of nowhere. This time we blocked him, but he's the one who's been blowing these plays up left and right. And Triplet must really be strong the way that he just threw the defender off of him there. So this is what we want to do. We want to march up the field. This time it's Frank Gifford throwing guys off of him. As long as we can hold on to that football, we'll be okay. That time they had us figured out. And that's an easy first down. And it just makes it so easy when we're able to get something like that. So I think we end up calling a running play here and hope that we can run out a little bit more time. This is that dangerous one again. As I said before, if you can do those sort of vertical up, down moves just like that, that'll help you score a touchdown. So Mel Triplett gets his touchdown. We'll make it 28-14. This game, for all intents and purposes, is probably about over now. I mean, they would have to score a touchdown, and they would have to recover the onside kickoff to have, you know, even a chance. If we can stop them on a couple of these plays with what's going to be like a minute and a half, maybe a minute 20 seconds left in the game, you know, we're probably going to force them to run out of time. It's actually one of those cases where you almost want them to have a really good return to the kickoff so that you can run out as much time as possible. And you definitely want to see them call a running play like that. Although you don't want to see this happen. So this is this guy, Tom Tracy, who's been a pretty good running back for them, who we have knocked out of service. And so that brings up 2nd and 11. That stops the clock for him. And that time throwing over the blitz didn't work. We came very, very close to a major sack. You see, even if we don't have the blitz coming, our rush is pretty good, but that was a nice, nice catch. 47 seconds left, and this time we're bringing all sorts of pressure. They're going to throw over it, and it's an interception. That's the ball game. You see him throwing everybody off of him, so we have a chance here for one more sort of blast at the end zone. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in throwing it all the way to the end zone. And so that does it. So the Giants win this one 28-14. Pretty good game. Not necessarily a totally dominant game. We did have a little bit over 200 yards, 9 first downs. Triplett had 10 rushes, 59 yards. And it was Heinrich with only 50% completion percentage, and he threw an interception. There are a couple plays that kind of drove me nuts there that he had. But the Giants win this one again. So now we'll go forward in the schedule to week 7. Then we'll go take a look and see who we're playing next, because I don't remember off the top of my head. So pretty good game though for us. There were a couple of minutes where I was a little bit scared, but in the end there was no real reason to be scared. And we're playing, of course, against the Cleveland Browns. So you will definitely want to tune in tomorrow to see how we do against the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be kind of the big game. We play against them, of course, twice. We play against them this week, and then we play against them once more the final week of the season. And there's kind of a story behind that one as well, but we'll tell that story when it comes time. So this is the big game where we need to worry a lot about Jim Brown and trying to stop him, and Cleveland really is the team for us to beat. So there you have it. That's the way that it works this time around for the Giants. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I'll have more for you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.